it's important for people to understand that a border is an imaginary line. A border is a tool. There's nothing sacred about it. It was placed there 164 years ago because 164 years ago it made sense for that border to be where it was. But they can move, and they have moved in the history of the United States multiple times, as recently in Oregon and Washington in 1958. So there's a process for moving a border. So it's when we talk about moving the border, it's not like it's this crazy idea that is way out in left field. It was assumed that states would change their borders, and as I said, they have. So the process for that is that any two states can change their state border by getting together the two state legislatures and deciding that where the border's at doesn't make sense, and it'd make more sense to put it here. And it really, it's not simple, but it really is that simple in the sense of any two states can do that, and it just takes the two state legislatures to do that. The whole reason for our movement is that it doesn't make any sense to group two sets of people that are so different in almost every way. It doesn't make any sense for those people to be sharing state government. And the only reason they share state government is because where a border was put 164 years ago. There was polling done in Western Oregon, northwestern Oregon, actually, in January of last year by Survey USA. And they asked people in northwest Oregon, should elected leaders look at moving the border and what that would mean for Oregonians? And in northwest Oregon, 68% of people said, yes, we should have this conversation. We should at least look into it and see if this would make sense for both sides of the state. What that tells us is that people understand the problem. If you've lived in Oregon for any amount of time in your life, you know there's a huge difference between the east side and the west side. So what we're trying to do with this movement is and I think the genius of this movement that's made it successful and has allowed us to get as far as we've gotten is that this really is citizen-driven. This is asking people directly. We've gone to voters.
People think this will never happen. It can't work. There's too many things going on. Folks, if you don't try, how are you going to know whether it'll work?